Welcome to Arts in the City. I'm Tony Guida at MoCADA, the Museum of Contemporary African Diasporan Arts in Brooklyn. MoCADA's exhibitions feature the experiences and cultural contributions of people of African descent. Educational and public programs include the free annual Kid Flicks Film Festival of Bed-Stuy, internship programs for high school and college students, and lectures and guided tours relating to the annual National Black Fine Arts Show. MoCADA is a museum you ought to discover, especially now during Black History Month. Did you know that the Smithsonian's National Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington has a New York connection? Carol Jenkins has more.
We're gathered here today to dedicate a building, but this place is more than a building. It is a dream come true.
Dr. Mabel Wilson is a professor of architecture and African American studies at Columbia University, one of only a handful of tenured women in the field of architecture. She has written the authorized book on the museum, Begin with the Past.
There are a lot of amazing details about the building that, people will see and they'll start to figure out, but certainly the most distinctive aspect is what the architects call the corona. This beautiful sort of bronze-colored aluminum, three-tiered sort of lantern, essentially, that wraps around the entire building. And it's meant to evoke the kind of craft of cast iron railings and gates that Black craftspeople made in Charleston, and you see this in New Orleans. And a lot of times that's there, but a lot of people don't in those places realize that that was made by African Americans, both freed and enslaved.
Dr. Wilson's love of architecture was nurtured during her undergraduate years when she interned for J. Max Bond, the revered dean of Black architects, Harvard-educated and a successful practitioner, as well as Columbia professor, who designed the Birmingham Institute of Civil Rights and the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial in Atlanta. When he died in 2009, he was working on the museum and the World Trade Center Memorial. His work was carried on by partners David Adjaye, the brilliant British African designer of the museum, and Bond's architecture partner, Phil Freelon, himself one of the leading Black architects in the country. This is the museum's time-lapse, 11 years in the making. Got a fantastic, extraordinary structure there.
Well, it's been an honor to work on it. The team of Freelon, Adjaye, Bond, and the Smith Group have been working for 7 years from design to construction, and we're happy to see it finally come to fruition.
It's so open, it's so inviting, it's so...
Well, the fact that we wanted people to feel welcome, that's a big piece of it. This museum is not just for and about Black folks or African Americans. It's an American story that everyone can participate in. So that openness was intentional to welcome people in, all people.
And that climb, that descent to the history, to the slavery section?
Well, and you can also go down first and ascend, come up, because the bottom level starts the slavery story from 1400 on. And so as you come up the ramps, you really are ascending through history.
And then there's that unique three-tiered shape, which David Adjaye references as this beautiful sort of, they're literally column capitals. So they're at the top of these sort of wooden columns that can be found in Yoruba culture, in the shrines, in these sanctuaries of Yoruban culture, in these courtyards of the kings. And so it's a kind of interesting sort of mashup of African and African-American cultural references, abstracted. So it's not direct, but nonetheless quite elegant and I think poetic. What's amazing about the surface of the corona is to see it change over time. It may look dark brown and somewhat flat if it's a cloudy day, but if the sun's hitting it, it's pink and it's radiant. And then at night, it sort of glows like a lantern, which I describe in the book as, sort of the lantern that might have led people through the forest, through the swamps, on the Underground Railroad. So, so it has this kind of sort of resonance, I think, in so many different ways.
For Arts in the City, I'm Carol Jenkins.
Did you know that a stringed musical instrument of African origin is at the roots of American music, the banjo, as played by African slaves?
A lot of African-American old-time musicians were not recorded, right? So there are not a lot of recordings early on of black banjo players and old-time players.
Little steeple on a mountain so high.
In New York, our connection to folk music is the 50s and 60s folk scene in the West Village. And Washington Square Park was a hub for folk music. And so when me and my crew started getting into it, we started hanging out in Washington Square Park. I was well into playing blues, well into playing ragtime, maybe like early 20s. And I started reading a lot of books about American music history. And I can't remember what book it was now. It might have been like Birth of the Banjo or something like that. And there was a sentence: the banjo is an African-American instrument. Banjo is a slave instrument. And it blew my mind. Africans being brought here, and they have their own instruments, the akonting and kora, these stringed gourd instruments. What they end up adding is that fifth string, this drone string, which brings syncopation to America. So instead of, you know, just adding that little bit creates this wildfire. This combination of African sensibilities, this African-American instrument, and European melodies ends up creating, you know, what becomes, I guess, the first wholly American music. When white people start picking it up, they modernize it, they industrialize it, all that sort of stuff, and there's just millions of banjos sold. And they start making replicas of that here. And they create blackface minstrelsy.
Ring, ring, the banjo, I like that good old song. Come again, my true love, oh, where you've been so long.
And blackface minstrelsy is a terrible, racist, dark time in our culture, but it was about copying this African-American music, creating American humor, and spreading syncopation. A lot of old-time tunes are two parts, A part and a B part. A lot of times there'll be a low part and a high part. When I hear black old-time players or black banjo players, that the parts, the length of the parts can change. So like that A part could be as long as you want it. Instead of being the same thing every time. Carolina Chocolate Drops is a band, an all-black string band, and their mission was, you know, to be an all-black string band and to play old-time music and to talk about the black roots of American music. And their fiddle player quit. I got a phone call from Dom and the manager. Do you play fiddle? No, I play banjo. All right, come on, you're in. The old-time scene grew to be very white. And so being a black artist who plays this music there's a responsibility to reinsert us into that history. And for me, that is always mentioning that the banjo is an African-American instrument. And so, you know, this retelling of our history and like our experience is different from what you've been told and has been watered down and has parts that have been erased. And I know that it emboldens me to have my own pride, to have my own strength and my own eyes to see the history that we're making and the history that we made.
What a fabulous thing that Victoria is back. Season 2 of the wildly popular PBS series about the spirited young girl who became the most powerful woman in the world. Anne Riddell has more.
I have come to ask your advice.
I am no longer in politics, ma'am. It would be wrong for me to advise you.
It's not the kind of advice I need. I want to talk to you about marriage.
A marriage both passionate and complicated. Season 2 of Victoria takes a deep dive into the relationship between the young queen and her handsome husband, Prince Albert. As author and executive producer Daisy Goodwin explains, they were first cousins, thrust together by those around them, but deeply connected, despite wildly different personalities.
What made their marriage work was the fact that they were very strongly attracted to each other. And it's an extraordinary relationship because they are completely opposite in temperament. You know, she is impulsive, fiery, stubborn, and he is kind of very calm, very rational, very logical, likes to do things in a certain way, likes to plan things out. So you can imagine, you know, they could not be more different, and yet they have this incredibly strong bond between them.
Season 2 of Victoria premiered January 14th on Masterpiece on PBS. Goodwin also has a companion book out called Victoria and Albert, a royal love affair.
They had famous arguments, as I understand.
Victoria and Albert had really tempestuous rows. I think mostly started by Victoria, and what would happen was Victoria would get more and more angry and Albert would just withdraw and not speak to her and communicate with her by note, which drove her insane. There's a famous incident when he locked his study door and, you know, he wouldn't let her in and she was banging on the door and she said, "Let me in, I'm the Queen," and, you know, nothing would happen. And then finally she said, "Let me in, I'm your wife," and he opened the door. And there are other moments when, you know, there's a famous scene which is a true story of they had an argument about something and she throws a glass of wine over him in public.
Family life is a highlight in the new series. The royal couple had 9 children, but Goodwin says parenting was in some ways complex for Victoria.
I think all women must have been quite scared every time they went into labour in the 19th century because, you know, it was the biggest killer of women. Victoria, however, was incredibly physically strong. I mean, she had 9 children, she had no miscarriages, all her children were fine, which is very unusual. She didn't like infants. She found newborn babies slightly alarming. She said they looked like frogs. And later she wrote to her daughters when they were going to have babies, she just said, "You know what? You don't want to spend your whole time in the nursery, girls. You know, that's the ruin of many a kind of, you know, intelligent young woman."
And yet Albert was a very involved father, is that right?
Yes, he was. He was such a modern dad, you know, because he was there at the birth of all his children, which we think of as a very modern innovation, but he was right by Victoria's side for every single one of those births. And he took a huge interest in their upbringing.
What was it like having all these children on the set this time?
Oh, that was insane. I was watching one scene where they had 2 children and a dog, and I mean, I don't know how Jenna and Tom managed, because literally they can do one line and then the child is like, you know. I mean,
as they do.
Never work with children and animals. It's really difficult. You know, there's a lot of bribery that goes on. You know, the parents are standing behind pillars with bags of Doritos. There are, you know, there's all kinds of stuff. Actually, the animals are quite well behaved. The children are a nightmare.
Yeah, well, that's usually the way it goes.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean,
at least in our house.
Yeah.
Goodwin shared a few more behind-the-scenes challenges with us.
The candle thing is a nightmare, so that's one of the things that really slows us down because, you know, if we're doing any scene at night, of course, it'll be candlelit, which looks beautiful, but, you know, you can imagine in long corridor, the main corridor, we've got something like, I don't know, 500 candles, so you've got to light them all and then you've got to kind of put them all out and you've got to have a fire warden standing by. And, you know, when you think of our set, which is incredible, it doesn't have a ceiling, so there's just the corrugated roof of the aircraft hangar. And in that roof is an incredible array of bird life. You know, so sometimes, you know, we'll be doing really intimate scenes and suddenly this owl will swoop across like that.
The series and book are full of historical detail, but Goodwin believes Victoria also makes a contemporary statement.
She knew what her job was. You know, she had an incredibly strong sense of self. And I think that's a really good message for young women. And that's what Victoria did triumphantly. She was always herself.
And some good news for Victoria fans. Daisy Goodwin says she's already writing the 3rd season. Anne Riddell for Arts in the City.
Academy Award season is reaching fever pitch. A perfect time to check in with Neil Rosen for Oscar predictions on today's edition of Talking Movies.
The Cold War sci-fi fantasy The Shape of Water leads the field of Oscar nominees this year with 13 nominations. You know, that's only one shy of the record. I'm joined today by my colleagues Lisa Rossman and Bill McCuddy. And you know, Sally Hawkins, who stars in this film, grabbed a nod in the Best Actress category. Do you think she has a shot? And if not, who do you think is going to win in this category and why, Lisa?
Well, Sally Hawkins was wonderful, and she's definitely had an amazing year between this and the smaller film Maudie. And I also really think she will get an Oscar someday, but this isn't her year. This is the year of Frances McDormand, who should win and will win, which is an exciting thing to say.
You know who threw that can?
What can?
How about you, sweetheart?
No, I didn't really.
I think it's Frances McDormand's to lose, and she's trying to lose it. Did you hear her at the SAGs the other night? She said, I think young people should win this award. She's basically telling the people who vote for the Oscars and are also members of the Screen Actors Guild to give it to somebody like Sally Hawkins or Saoirse Ronan. I think Saoirse Ronan would be great. I wish it was Margot Robbie, but I think Frances McDormand is going to win. I'm
with you also. I think it's Frances McDormand's Oscar this year, although I think Sally Hawkins had the best performance. I mean, she can't speak in the film, and what an expressive performance. She does everything through her eyes and body movement. I think that's really the performance. Moving on to Best Actor. Bill, who do you like in this category and why?
Well, it's Gary Oldman's, obviously, from the get-go. Have you seen him? He doesn't look anything like Winston Churchill in real life.
So give him an Oscar. Good makeup. That's awesome.
I think it is Oldman's, unless he does something stupid or says something. You know, he's made anti-Semitic remarks in the past. He could screw it up. And then somebody like Daniel Day-Lewis could come in, which I know sounds crazy.
That's never going to happen.
That got 6 nominations. That means the Academy really likes that movie more than anybody else.
He already has a bunch of Oscars, Daniel Day-Lewis.
He does, but he says he's quitting, and if we take him at his word, they may give him a going-away prize.
I think that Gary Oldman will win, and it pains me to say it. I think it's an insufferable soapboxing portrayal, and it's a terrible movie, but it's the kind of thing that the old guard loves, and this will be where that one moment where they really strut their stuff this year and pick him.
They look like, the Oscar voters
look like him.
They
all look like him, exactly. That said, I think Daniel Day-Lewis should win, and not just because it's a nod to his career and he's retiring. It's an extraordinary performance.
I think Gary Oldman is the lock of the evening this year. He's won all the other awards, the SAG Awards, the Critics' Choice Awards. There's no reason to believe that he's not going to win the Academy Award. You know, he is buried under prosthetics. They originally had more prosthetics on him, but apparently he couldn't move his face, the director said. So they actually lessened it up.
I had that one
But it is a good performance. So we're all on the same page. We think Gary Oldman is the lock for Best Actor.
Yep.
You cannot reason with a tiger when your head is in its mouth!
Okay, well, the movie that Gary Oldman is in, which is Darkest Hour, is also nominated for Best Picture. And it's the one category where it's really up in the air. There are 2 films that are vying for Best Picture, that the most are in contention, which is The Shape of Water and 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
What's going to win?
What's going to win?
I think that 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri is going to win, despite all those nominations for The Shape of Water, because I think it's unique. I think it's clever.
Well, I disagree with you. I think Shape of Water will win, and I think it's because it's the kind of magical fairy tale that Oscar voters love, and frankly, we love.
You may think that thing looks human. Stands on 2 legs, right?
I think that it has good politics, but it's not obtrusive in the way that some films are. I think the thing is that 3 Billboards is a film that contains better performances than the film itself is.
Hollywood doesn't always like fantasies. Last year, La La Land lost, and that was a fantasy. I have a feeling that this is going to pull up short at the finish line, and that's when something like Lady Bird, which I think is more deserving, could actually win.
I really want to bet you a Hershey bar with almonds.
It's a preferential voting system. That means if everybody votes for Lady Bird as their number 3 pick, but they split the number 1 and 2 picks, Lady Bird could still win.
I'm going with 3 Billboards, so you're going with Shape of Water, just to recap, and you're going with
Greta Gerwig all the way, Lady Bird.
Thank you, Lisa and Bill. And for more of our predictions and a lengthier discussion, check us out online at CUNY.tv. The Oscars are on Sunday night, March 4th. Tune in to see if we were right and enjoy the show. I'm Neil Rosen for Arts in the City.
"53 years ago next month, Martin Luther King led the historic Civil Rights March from Selma to Montgomery. CUNY Media won an Emmy for its powerful report on that march, featuring the photography of the picture editor of the City College newspaper. That's our show for today. For more information on the stories, visit CUNY.tv. I'm Tony Guida. See you next time on Arts in the City.